Hey guys, I'm Jade Hunting from Photo Factor. If you're only just joining us, we're busy with chapter 5 of Photoshop Basics. And in this chapter, we're exploring various selection tools or options in Photoshop. Here in session 2, we're going to talk about the quick selection tool and expand a little bit more upon how to use the lasso tool. So let's dive straight in. So, there are quite a few selection tools and methods. When you're starting out, you don't need to master all of them. It's good to just familiarize yourself with the few tools that you'll use most often. For myself, this would be the quick selection tool and the lasso tool. So let's expand upon this a little bit. First of all, it's prudent to make sure that you're on the correct layer. And so we head on over to the layers panel, click on that. This particular image does only contain a background layer and no extra layers, so that's fine. We can just carry on. And let's head on over here to the tools panel, and we head on down here to the fourth option, the quick selection tool. Notice the keyboard shortcut here is W. I love keyboard shortcuts. And so we can just click on this tool. And what we want to do is we want to select this candle here to the left. And so we can maybe zoom in a little bit, head on over here to the zoom tool, click on this area, head on back to the quick selection tool. And all you need to do is click once on that area. And you'll see it's done a pretty good job of, with just one click, selecting most of that area. But obviously there's a whole bunch of area that we still need to add to the selection. And so once I've clicked and we head on over here to the options toolbar, you'll notice it's defaulted to the add to selection option. There is also a subtract from selection option available to you, which we'll show you in a moment. And you just click again and again and again, and you just keep going until you feel like it's included everything you'd like to want it to include. I keep the brush size quite small. You can make it bigger or smaller by heading on over to the square bracket keys on your keyboard. If you hit on the left square bracket, it makes the brush smaller. If you head on to the right, it makes it bigger. But the bigger I make it, the more it tries to select. So I tend to keep it a bit smaller. Let me illustrate that for you. If I got a nice big brush here and I try to select that little corner area, notice how much else it also selects. So let's go back a step by hitting Command Z and I'll make this brush much smaller. And now I click on this area. Notice that it didn't include everything that it did a moment ago. And so we've still got this area here which we would like to exclude from the selection. So we can head on over to the options toolbar, hit the subtract from selection option, come back down here, click on this area outside. It might require you to click a few times until you get to subtract enough of what you want to exclude. And so now we have a very rudimentary selection of this candle to which we want to make the adjustment, but it's still not great. And so now we head on over to the lasso tool, which is this tool over here. Mine is defaulted to the polygonal lasso tool option. But if you see the little arrow here in the bottom corner, click on that by holding down the control key on your keyboard. You'll see there's a couple of other options available to you here. And the one I just want to bring your attention to is the freehand lasso tool. And so let's start with that actually. Notice it's because we already have a selection going, it defaults to the add to selection option. There's also a subtract from selection option. Let's illustrate this for you first. So there's a part here of the candle, the top right hand corner here, that we want to add to. And so we can just click and hold down the mouse button and begin to drag. It does require a bit of a steady hand. Here, there's a bit of a lip here that we want to include. So you just click, hold down the mouse button and drag. This is obviously an area that sits outside the candle that we would want to subtract from the selection. So we can either head on over here to the subtract from selection option, or you can hold down option on your Mac keyboard or alt on your Windows keyboard and notice the icon switches from a plus to a minus. And now just holding down the option or the option key or alt key and dragging, notice I just loop around, let go on the mouse button, and it snaps to where I began putting the selection. Head on over here, do the same thing. and I can just work my way around the image. Here we want to add a bit of the flame. It's not perfect, but it will do for what I'm trying to illustrate. If I'm finding that my hand is not really all that steady on using the freehand lasso tool, I can head on back over to the polygonal lasso tool, and here we want to subtract. So again, I can use Option on my Mac keyboard or Alt on my Windows keyboard, and notice my icon there, or my cursor, has the polygonal lasso tool with the minus, and I just click. I can let go of Option or Alt, and I can head on over to where I feel is a comfortable place to drag on over to. I can head on up and around, and once I'm happy that I've included the area, I can double click and it will snap to where I began the selection. Let me show you that again. We want to hit Alt or Option on your keyboard, click, drag, click again, and then head on around, do a rudimentary. And once I'm happy that I've included everything I want to include, I can double click and it snaps to where I began. And I can just work my way around the image and make sure I've included everything I want to include. Zoom out. It can be a slightly arduous process, but I try and see the zen in it. Right, and once we're happy, we can zoom out. We'll zoom a little bit more in. Say we want to add some brightness or contrast to this particular area. We head on over to Image, Adjustments, Brightness and Contrast, and we can move the sliders to a place where we feel happy with. We can toggle the preview on and off to see how it was and how it is now. Once we're happy, we click on OK. We want to now deselect, and so we head on over to Select. Scroll on down to Deselect. And boom. Once we're happy with what we've done, so as not to save over the original, we head on over to File, scroll down to Save As, give the file a new name, File Adjustment 2 or Adjustments I'm going to call it, and hit Save. And so you can see by using this method, there is a little bit of going back and forth, adding to, subtracting to from the selection. As I said, it can be a little bit arduous, but sooner, the more you do it, the more proficient you become with it, and before you know it, you'll be zipping through making your selections. And so if you've gotten any value out of this video, please do give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button for way more tutorials coming your way. Head on over to the next video where I'm going to show you how to fine-tune your adjustments. See you there.